Located on the equator adjoining the international dateline, Kiribati is a nation made up of 33 coral atolls. Around 100,000 people live here, with half of them crowded into one island, South Tarawa. An island 16 square kilometres in area and only 450 metres at its widest point, supporting a population density similar to Hong Kong. A lot of people, a small space and an isolated region, making sustainability a real issue. But the most interesting dimension of all is the average height above sea level, less than 2 metres. The nation's president, Anote Tong, is warning the world Kiribati could become the first country to fall victim to climate change.
Previously I thought 2060 would be a safe, maybe getting too close to the edge. But now it seems that it might be a lot earlier. I think 2030 might be more realistic. But I think the response has to be much earlier than that.
So when you say 2030, you're saying as soon as 20 years?
I think virtually as soon as 20 years.
Global warming is being blamed for changing weather patterns, rising sea levels and an increase in storm surge activity, tearing away at the coastline. Coconut and breadfruit trees dying as salination claims previously fertile land. Climate change exacerbating issues the country has faced for centuries due to drought and limited fresh water. Add in overpopulation and it's a recipe for disaster. Art has lived on Abayang for more than 50 years, watching parts of his island completely disappear during storms, projected to become more intense as the climate changes.
It's very fragile, okay? Like, 200 meters is actually nothing, So if, that can go in just a matter of hours, of strong winds and high tides, yeah.
If what appears to be the effect of climate change continues to take its course here in Kiribati, it won't be rising sea levels inundating the land that drives people from these islands. Lack of a water supply will be the major issue, as the combined effects of erosion, storm surges and drought continue to take their toll on an already fragile system.
The country will be uninhabitable long before it's underwater.
Marilla Rebgetz is engaged in an Australian-supported program aimed at adapting the country to climate change, working with the Kiribati government to increase understanding of the impacts and developing appropriate responses.
There's no above-ground water in Kiribati. It's all in the water lens.
Fresh water is drawn from wells sunk into the lens, a zone of clean water below the surface of the island.
Most places are only a metre and a half deep. And so if anybody has toilets nearby, if they have pigs nearby, if they've buried grandma nearby, all the waste can easily penetrate the water lens, so it's very fragile.
A fragility further threatened by storms and resulting erosion. As islands shrink, so too does the water supply.
People have actually had to move further inland so that they can get access to better groundwater.
One of the President's responses is training programs, enabling young people to develop skills and become more attractive migrants. Examples include a maritime training college for sailors and the new Australian government-funded Kiribati Australia Nurses Initiative being run through Griffith University in Queensland.
So what's the point of going back when the Kiribati is sinking or is getting vanished or submerged?
If we are losing our homeland, potentially our culture, surely we can at least try to maintain our dignity in moving to the new adopted countries. And so the way to do it is to train our people.
But it's not that straightforward for everyone, and it's an issue being debated across the Pacific. The people of Kiribati are not alone in facing an uncertain future.
Old people, that they don't want to change. They still always want to be where they are. But young people now, they want to move on.
In this deeply Christian country, climate change is a regular topic of Sunday homilies. Those subscribing to the Old Testament have their own theories on rising sea levels.
That according to the Bible, God promised Noah that there will be no second flood.
In the meantime, life goes on. The people of Kiribati are not giving up. Their land, their culture and pride are far too important. But when the world gathers at the climate change conference in Copenhagen later this year, expect to hear more of President Anote Tong.